So even though I've had frugality drilled into me from a young age thanks to my dad, I think saving money on a regular day can still be challenging. And this is especially true if you have obligations or maybe even very aggressive goals, like reaching financial independence at a younger age. So in this video, I'll share with you the 5 habits which I think make it really hard to save, especially in today's world, and more importantly, spend more time talking about what I do and maybe perhaps you could find it useful. And some of these ways might help us rewire ourselves to help us save more. Hey guys, it's Sunmin and welcome back to Your Money Game, the show where we'll save, invest, and feel better about money. Let's start with an easy number 1, which is when we're bored, we tend to turn to shopping. So I grew up in KL during that time when the malls were evolving, going from neighborhood malls where you just visited to get your basic needs, towards these one-stop shops where pretty much all your entertainment and all your necessities are housed in one place. Going to a mall very quickly became the default habit, and that encouraged us to spend our free time in malls and then of course spend more money there as well. So I thought KL had a lot of malls, but after coming to Singapore, I realized that, oh my god, it's really one mall around every corner. Now things have evolved and the gods of shopping are now Shopee and Lazada. Now the mall comes to you, right? So you're sitting on a couch, just tapping an app on your phone and boom, hey, flash sale. This habit connects to the next one, which is that when we tend to shop, it is usually because we have this feeling like, whoa, I need it now, when in reality, it can actually wait. The marketing guys that are planning all these sales are really doing their best to try and persuade you to part with your cash. So they've got an unlimited amount of tactics which they're constantly trying to make you feel that sense of urgency or sense of need, so that hopefully you'll take action right now rather than delay the decision for later. Next is our habit to buy the very best standard in the things that we buy. Let me give you an example that really blew me away personally. Maybe it's that time of life, but hey, me and my friends, we do talk about vacuum cleaners, and I have many friends who swear by the Dyson vacuum cleaner, and it costs within the range of like $600 to $800. And until today, I'm still going like, oh my god, you're willing to pay that much money? Look, I know I'm being judgy here, and they can probably be saying the exact same things to me when they look at my headphones or earbuds. The point is, with everything that we buy, there is bound to be a higher standard or higher quality option out there. The question becomes, how many of these things in our lives do we need to have the very best or the highest quality stuff? The next habit is not caring about the smaller amounts. Ramit Sethi, another guy who I really admire, truly hates this because he feels that if you are sweating the smaller stuff, you are really just not doing the right thing. You should be instead focusing on increasing your income and living the best rich life that you can have. I agree with a part of his perspective, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessary to choose. In fact, I think that particularly for people who are maybe just starting out or trying to figure out their own financial habits, not really caring about the small amounts can really hurt them. Losing track is a problem in and of itself, but I think the more insidious one is that we tend to lose this sensitivity to the belief that small amounts can really add up to something, especially if you invest it. And this is again going back to the principles of compound interest. The final habit is how normal it's become when we think of rewarding ourselves as buying something, and oftentimes it's buying something big. You're telling yourself that, hey, I'm gonna buy this because I've worked hard and I deserve it and I've earned it. Have you ever paused and asked yourself, like, where did this mindset or where does this statement come from? Now don't get me wrong, I'm not against treating ourselves, but what I'm more curious about is how has it become a default when we think of rewards and happiness that we have to buy something and buy something big. But you know what would make me happy? If you clicked on that like and sub button, maybe even leave me a comment below, because that tells the gods of YouTube to share this video out with more people who might find it useful as well. And hey, it's completely free. Now let me share with you some of the things that I do which I think help make saving easier, and hopefully it'll be useful for you as well. Now I'll start with the hardest one this time, which is being conscious and intentional about what you choose to bring into your life. When I just started out and started getting a little bit more money over time, we all started having new hobbies. And there's always this new thing to try, and there's always going to be more gadgets or more equipment that you want to buy and accumulate. Of course, some of them were great and I have no regrets at all, but I think over time I realized this pattern because it was just so much easier to say yes and just go with the flow because hey, it's your friends, they're doing stuff that's fun, you want to be with them. Gradually, I became more selective, not just towards newer hobbies that were always just around the corner, but at the same time towards new things that were popular as well. Now, the principle isn't about saying no across the board. It is again just about being more conscious about what is it that you're choosing to add to your life. The next move is slightly easier, which is to always shop with a plan. I find this applies very well to two areas in our everyday lives. Firstly, with groceries. Now, even though I shop with a list, I tend to walk out of the store with a couple of extra stuff. Now, imagine if you're shopping without it. And I think that's where we are always going to end up with more things that we actually need, which is sad. But I think what's even sadder is that you might end up wasting some of it. The other area in our lives are electronics, which is either like consumer electronics and gadgets, or maybe even household ones like vacuum cleaners. There is always going to be a sales cycle because they will refresh newer models, and where older models are always going to get cheaper. It's also useful to understand the rough lifespan of the gadgets that you have, because what tends to catch us off guard is unexpected spends. So when you anticipate that something will break down within the next year and you need to replace it, factor that into your budget already. Therefore, it won't be an unexpected expense. Next is to work on reducing the number of things that you're willing to pay a premium for. Either that or maybe just reduce the premium itself. And you can call this process conscious downgrading. So for me, I like nice stuff too. It is just that I do not have a lot of categories of things where I'm willing to pay a lot for those nice things. So in my case, it's fashion. I don't care about it, so I don't pay a premium there. And maybe that's your thing and it's cool. So you can look into other areas in your life where you think that, hey, I might not need the best here, so I can downgrade that. I find it useful to remember that there's this thing called the law of diminishing returns. So if you have a chart where X is price and Y is benefit, this simply says that as price goes up, initially, yes, there will be an increase in quality or benefit, but at some point in time where the price reaches high enough, the benefit isn't really going to be that much higher for you. Now, you don't need to literally do it, but you could mentally imagine anything that you buy in a chart like that. Next is about the small amounts. And you might be thinking that, oh, you have to be stingy and really care about all the small amounts. And no, that's not the point. My point is that I think it's important to develop awareness about all these small amounts. What you do with it is completely up to you. If you are not yet doing it, I really encourage you to develop the awareness and track it, because you'll begin to see new patterns in your life. Once you accumulate enough data, you can begin to see when do you spend on certain things, and therefore you can ask yourself the question of why. Why are all these little spends happening, and whether or not it really is something that you're consciously doing. Who knows, maybe you discover a habit that, hey, you are buying new things always when payday is there because you're celebrating. Or maybe you realize that you have a tendency of ordering food in and spending a little bit more on delivery because, again, either you forget or you're too tired to tap out on the way home. Once you are armed with that kind of awareness, you can begin to make changes if you see fit. Finally, it's experimenting with things that you feel can make you happy. So for this one, I give a lot of credit to my girlfriend because she has truly expanded my world in terms of what I do and enjoy in life. So my girlfriend was the one that exposed me to the world of local tours and really interesting activities here in Singapore. And just to name a few, there's Citizen Adventures, there is Open House, and then there's the most recent one which we did was the Ransack. These are just a handful of the examples, and they are not all free. In fact, they might be a little bit more expensive versus some of the activities that you are normally doing. But the point isn't about the price. It's about expanding the universe of the things that you are exposed to that you feel can add more value and happiness to your life. And along the way, you might be able to think of these as bigger rewards rather than just spending a lot of money for maybe one big item. What about you? What are some of your tactics or strategies that you use to save a little bit more money? And hey, share it with me in the comments below. So that's it for hopefully a lighter episode this time around, and thanks for watching, guys. If you got value out of this, I would appreciate your support in clicking that like, sub, and bell button, and I'm gonna be back again next Sunday with a brand new video. And until then, you take care and keep playing your own game.